Do it in the body. Do it in the body. All right. Oh, man, was it a beautiful day? We've been sitting pretty all day. I mean, welcome back to Film the World podcast, folks. Dude, it was absolutely beautiful out here in Tennessee. I mean, I think I got out there at, again, 7, biking, about 20 miles or something like that. Crazy, you know? Dude, it is getting so humid down here. I have to say, it's no less than like, I don't know, what do you think, 85% humidity? Dude, it's coming on strong, man. You cut that with the butter knife, and I'm here for it because we're getting into August, folks. Dude, it is prime season. Man, happy new moon. This is that day, okay? So I just want to come on here quick because, you know, I just went and did a little walk, right? Little Chipotle, you know? Reflections. This is what matters. Dude, we're all just reflections anyway, right? You know? So we've been kind of trying to traverse this thing of the ontology and solving the human condition, right? And like, we've had some pretty interesting revelations so far, folks, right? Because like, first of all, we've noticed about the interesting insights in fear. Ooh, that's so interesting. And, you know, we talked about the different, you know, maybe what a north node is, like true direction. So we've got direction. We can kind of see what's going around us. And we've kind of come to the point where it's like we're viewing a perspective, not all perspectives at once, right? But if we go and look at like one perspective and be like, yo, okay, we're reflecting from this standpoint, and then that's going to determine our temperature on that situation removed, right? But it's important to remain the conscious observer, right? Because I think it just really elaborates so much more context, right? It's illuminating. Think as a, you know, one of these, what do you call, light worker, whatever, sunlight's the best disinfectant. Well, if we kind of go and look at it from like, not truly right, truly wrong, as long as consciousness is growing, we've got a very strange representation of what is considered maybe right or wrong. We definitely have ethical concerns, right? That absolutely need to hold up. I mean, seriously, right? Like, I mean, dude, you go into the town square, you want to casually be able to walk out of that same square, right? Whether you wanted to get that, you know, fruit, whatever happened to like protection, right? Why do you need protection? Protection from what? You're infinite, okay? And these are just kind of like one of those things. Like, why do you need protection? Well, perception drives the need for protection. Because again, these are those programs, aggravated programs. Because it's energy in motion, unfortunately, against probably you, if you happen to be that catalytic event, right? But I think the most important thing is grounding, right? Being that I'm a Virgo, grounding just makes a lot of sense to me, you know? So I got all these cool things, right? Like, I mean, I got these little charm bracelets and things and, you know, these other things. They're just different archetypes, little relic things that help me remember about what I'm, you know, surrounding my body. As a lot of these people say, you know, in the ontology or the woo, my light body. And then it's like, oh, it's so deep. But it's not. It's skin deep because it's illuminating, you see? And like, once you start talking this language, it really starts to drive things home, right? Okay. So you got these different takes on things. You've got these different, you know, things that we can like utilize as tool for seeming protections, whatever, right? But they're really permission slips, right? Let's be honest, right? Doesn't matter if it's gold or not, right? If it looks like it's gold and I say it's gold, how do you know, partner? You don't know. You don't know. Whose cheese? Nacho cheese. You can't taste it. You know what I mean? There's a different type of density going on there. And depending on how the light hits it, maybe it does look real. If it's not real, who even cares? As long as you're not fundamentally trading it, and even if you did trade it, it's still art at some point, right? So, like, and just because there's value in something, right, doesn't necessarily mean it's value actualized, right? Because you look at all these things, right? You know, it's like, oh, that's $1 million car. Is it? Or is it cost of materials? Or is that like cost of materials plus R&D plus overhead plus all these crazy tax laws plus all this stuff versus, okay, you have a brick, right? It's really nice brick. Maybe it's cost the same amount as that sweet supercar. You're like, well, see, you don't understand. You might not be able to see looking at this brick here, but this brick has gold and diamonds in it. You just can't taste the juice, that box master juice of truth. And like, there's some truth there, right? But to actualize these values is a whole nother story, right? Because you have to like refine them down, right? Which means, you know, just kind of like walking around in public ether with like, look at things, right? Like, that looks great. McChicken, bro. And we're pretending that's not from, you know, McD's, right? Which I still have to say off the rip since I'm going to use them as a example. Coming from the food industry, I promise you, the safest food to eat in the country still, most likely the world, is still, as crazy it is to say, at scope and scale across, you know, stores and all that, laws of percentages and whatnot, would be McDonald's. Why? It's because they only allow one supplier facilities, no wood facilities. So they're like always doing slip pads and all these crazy things or whatever. But like the thing is, you got one bad foreign material incident, dude, you're done. Business operations, done. Done. It's just constant reflection at that point because you'll never be in business again, right? So that's why it's the safest. I'm not saying it's the healthiest. I'm just saying law of percent would give us that's probably going to be the one I'm going to get like less percent chance of food poisoning, right? Yeah. And the last thing I want is food poisoning because, dude, that brings me right back. Dude, P Vegas, man. Dude, like sometimes you just got to lay in the tub, turn on the shower, and just like let it pass, you know? And eventually, there goes the food poisoning. But, you know, okay. So getting back to our food topic. Now that we're in our light bodies, traversing this landscape, right? And coming from the food industry, and you know right off the bat, the less refined or processed materials would be ideal, right? Dude, I just got Chipotle tonight, right? Loved it. I'm going to go back tomorrow, okay? However, there was straight up a big chunk of plastic. Son. Like from the tear thing. That happens all the time, okay? Because we always have containers. There's always like a container facilitating a shipping experience for any one type of product that may be going from point A to point B, right? So that's context, okay? So they're not all as good as Mickey D's, okay? But I'm pretty sure Mickey D's did go and set up Chipotle. So there is some weird distro channel thing going on there because I do think they use their like distribution kind of like facilities or whatever. Anyway, food. What is healthy? Okay, so less processed, right? I'll tell you what I've done in my diet. And I told you, I just gave you an example of Chipotle. I actually have plastic in the food, but I'm still eating Chipotle just because it's a little easier, But I'm doing those salad bowls, just keeping it really light and trying not to think about anything related to food. Because I notice I just said I was Virgo, right? I'm straight up OCD, like extreme when it comes to cooking, organizing things, making a room look a certain way. I just like, not leave until it's done this way, and then we just go and do it, and that's why my chicken's so damn good, and if you're going to live in Nashville and make chicken, I'm judging that, okay? Because that's reality, okay? Everybody's judging, so might as well. And like what I've done though recently is I've taken the power back. What do I mean by that? A lot of times I have a tendency to put all of my energy, like all of it, into whatever I'm doing. So that doesn't matter if it's cooking, it doesn't matter if it's building, researching, whatever. And I take all of this power that I've got within me, that it literally feels like a ball of fire, and I push it into the thing that I'm working on, right? I'm going to be like, oh, it's going to be so special, And a lot of times, it always turns out. I've never really, totally flopped on anything that I've ever really wanted to convey, right? So, sweet. Where it gets out of control, though, is after the experience of the whatever we're doing, right? Whether it be a presentation or whatever. If I go and put all my energy into that thing, there's like this zapped energy. And it's like you literally feel like all of your energy was like siphoned off. And in a lot of cases, that's kind of what's happening. Like pieces of you are getting hemorrhaged out to people participating in whatever we're doing in the stage, on the stage, in the audience, online, whatever. And then the more you engage with it, the more of your supposable energy is depleted and excreted out into the ethers, right? Sweet. Okay. Knowing this is very powerful, okay? We don't really need to even talk about any of the mechanics of anything right now, other than we know that it requires a significant, emphasis of effort and intentions onto making food, whatever we're doing, right? So if we're exhausting our internal resources, right? We're really feeling it, then, dude, that's going to take a lot out of us. Dude, that's like a workout in the gym. That's like you expelled calories. Like you did anyway, but I mean like in a big way, So, by going to places like to get food or that facilitate something that you do to human every day, it's going to make you a little bit better and a little less zapped for you to go and emphasize whatever a little bit better, right? And I've kind of found that doing this, especially like on the ascension timeline kind of thing here, has really been beneficial to me. Because what I've done is I've like, yo, you want to be the cook? That's fine. Because I don't really need the food to taste any better than, what it already tastes. I don't really need, excess. I don't need anything other than, what's required to sustain life, right? And, gain conscious perspective of what's going on around me in that moment, right? And I get that by digesting, right? And only specifically if I'm digesting the right way. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, well, you'll notice. I mean, some people are like, yo, I'm allergic to beans. Well, I mean, kind of, right? Yeah, like some people have a hard time digesting, that that skin or whatever. And, Beano, right? And but like for me, dude, as long as you're having like pinto beans, then not so bad. Not so bad, you know? There's always a couple of ways to skin a cat. And you always have to try a different variety of things, you know? Just like a baby bird, we need to test things, okay? Instead of trying to create and manufacture foods that aren't necessarily real, maybe we can utilize some of the things that we've already got, available to us in the form of whole foods, right? But oh no, and I'll share this too. Like even over the last couple of days here, I've had this extreme reaction to whole proteins and like animal whole proteins. Extreme reactions like skin irritation, inflammation, crazy, randomly, just amazing. And I'm like, yo, maybe this was one of those beauty curses. No. I'm pretty sure it was the meat, folks, but maybe it was. Maybe it was. I don't know. Man, I'll let you know if we figure that out. But dude, just kind of looking at some of this stuff, I noticed that, things that I'm quote unquote addicted to aren't necessarily good for me, right? And I think I said before, a lot of times when I like something a lot, dude, I'm gone. I am so gone, right? Especially if it's dude, I had the best time. We did this. I can't remember anything. Dude, I am never coming back here again. I'm never hanging out with you again. Because I didn't remember what was going on. And that's sketch or whatever. And then you learn these things over time. And then you just learn that things are not you. Right? Like how spirits tend to bring things out of the public ether, They give you headaches anyway. I mean, it's like a dehydration at a ridiculous level, But it's important to be aware of these things because even when you wear these different addictions, whether they be cheese or ice cream, sugary things, we just need to recognize what they are, right? And how do we take our power back? We recognize it, we own it, right? And once you own it, you don't need it anymore, right? Dude, I mean, I think for the longest time, I did this for a while because I was really addicted to candy for a while. So if I really liked candy when I was younger, I'd eat candy. I always on on Halloween or whatever, till I couldn't eat anymore. And I would make sure that I was absolutely sick of that stupid thing. We're not touching that again. Done. Checked out. Done. Off the list, bro. Yo, hey, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I'm not hitting this Tootsie Roll again. That's what's up, So I've just taken these things on and really utilized them. And I've been able to optimize even a little bit more as I get a little bit wiser, right? And probably the biggest addiction for me in my entire life, not anymore, we've got past it with this ascension, was smoking. Dude, the breath form. And on a subliminal level, it was my grandfather, right? So my grandfather was a really big smoker, okay? Really big smoker, right? And I've always just kind of know, and he'd try not to smoke in front of me or whatever, but he would freaking smoke in front You know what I mean? And then and like everybody's like, oh, you didn't smoke. You talk to anybody in town. Nah, you didn't smoke. What are you talking about? And then I just remember him getting in a story of him getting in a car, a brand new car at the car dealership, just lighting it up. And then nobody even said anything in the brand new car. It's just like, dude, it's Bill. It's Wild Bill. Were you going to mess with that guy? Did you crazy? Okay. So my grandfather, Bill, right? He lived with that breath form like we all do, right? And the ontology or thinking in destiny likes to tell us that, that breath form is really that mechanical, infinite self, right? And it leaves the body after death. But it's like here, it's operating. It reacts, contracts, throws words out here, without, expectations of whatever. It just reacts and responds accordingly, right? You stem the action and then it just spits it out for you, right? And then together you're the team of the breath form. But the breath form in living form, I need you to see this. When you see any human being walking down the road and you see the breath form, like any kind of breathing, that is infinite, buddy. That's infinite. Absolutely indestructible humanity right there. That portion of humanity, if we could bottle that up as the human condition, indestructible, infinite, which you are anyway. It's just the one that you see in motion, right? And then it's not to say that it's necessarily got emotion behind it. Oh, it can, right? But it doesn't have to, right? So, anyway, I just want you to know that even if you're struggling with some of these things, like sugars or whatever, own them. Smoking is like the hardest thing to quit ever, right? And I partly never wanted to put it down because I always saw my grandfather's breath form in me, literally. And I want to offer you that because that might be what's going on in your head too. And that really helped me quit, Because you're like, dude, that guy was freaking infinite, right? And I got the breath form with me, when I'm in this tango here with this cigarillo or whatever have you. And it's just like, it's okay to let it go. It is okay to let it go. It does tend to arrive, or ride, or traverse the now, the perpetual now, which is even more exciting as to why it's a psychological experiment when you come down to it. But I want you to kind of look at these things. Even though it's infinite, you can let it go. There are other means to entertain the perpetual now, But if you could hone the breathing, and I think even after stopping smoking, it's just just taking a deep breath and holding it. It's just so powerful, So when you're down in the gutter, whatever, take the breath form concept, know that nobody can squash that out. And even if they did, it's on to the next one, baby. What are you going to go and do? Knock it down twice? Dude, it's 2025, baby. Film the World podcast. It's time to save the human condition. You have a good night, folks. Peace.